Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nelo and today we are going to be making a blouse with a yoke. So I'm actually making side peplum blouse, but I'm going to show you how to cut the yoke, and it's a bustier blouse. Okay, and I have marked out all my lines. This is my chest line, which is 8.5, as you can see, chest line, and then 8.5, and then here is my bust line, 11 inches on the bust line, and then the waist. Okay, and then the full length of the blouse is 25. Okay, so now I am going to mark my shoulder measurement. Shoulder divided by 2 is 8. All right, so from that point I'm going to mark the same 8 here, and then I'll connect it with a straight line like so. And then I'm going to get the midpoint of this line, which is 4.25, and then I'll go in by half an inch, and then I'm going to kind of curve, but before then I'm going to take my bust circumference. Okay, so for the yoke I'm making use of 6 inches. You can make use of 5 inches or even 7 inches. Okay, but I'm using 6 inches for my yoke. So I'm going to draw a straight line there like so. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to come down by half an inch. You can use 2 inches or 1 inch. I don't really want the yoke, the sweetheart neck, but I just want to show you guys how to get it. So I'm marking a little sweetheart neck, which is ½ inch. You can use 1 inch or 2 inches for a very visible sweetheart neckline. Okay, and then I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 8 inches divided by 2 is 4 plus ½ inch for seam allowance. So I am taking 4.5, right? Okay, so I'm going to take the same 4.5 at this top here, and then I'm going to connect them with a straight line. Okay, I also mark the same 4.5 on the length of the sleeve blouse. Sorry guys, remember I told you the length I am working with is 25 inches. Is a full blouse. Okay, so I mark the same nipple to nipple. So on my bust point I'm going to come down by ½ an inch and also go up by ½ an inch on my bust line. Okay, and then to get my curve I'm going to minus my under bust from my bust circumference. Whatever I have left is what I'm going to use to create the curve. So what I have left was 5 inches divided by 2. Then I mark 1 inch on the center front, 1.5 inch on the side. Okay, 5 inch divided by 2 is 2.5 inch. So I marked 1 inch on the center front, and then 1 inch here, and then 1.5 inch here, and 1 inch here. You see it's already 2.5. Okay, that is what I'm trying to show you right now, is 2.5. all right, and then I'm going to connect it with a curve to the ½ inch I came down with on the bust line. Okay, like so. All right, and then on this yoke part, this top part, I'm going to mark 1 inch on both sides. You can use ½ inch on both sides, but I want to mark 1 inch on both sides just to get a nice curve. And I'm going to connect it to this ½ inch I went up on the bust line. Okay, like so. And then the next thing I'm going to do now is to blend this bust area, right? Okay, so after blending, just make sure to blend it very well. Okay, so after which what I'm going to do next is to connect this line down to the hemline. Okay, you can connect it straight or you can connect the way I want to do it now. So I'm trying to draw the pattern paper upwards so you can see. So now I'm going to connect to this point like so. So you can bend your ruler the way I did mine, or you could just bring it straight. Okay, they are all the same. All right, so you can bend your ruler or you can bring it straight. It's still the same thing. All right, so I'm going to connect the dart this way downward. Okay, as you can see, I have my dart already. So the next, okay, so as you can see, I have marked all my dart. So now I'm going to replace the 2 inches I marked here inward like this. Okay, and then here I'm going to take my bust circumference. I also added the 2 inches there too. All right, I marked the same 2 inches, and now I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4. Okay, which is 9.75. Okay, so I'm going to mark 9.75 here. All right, and then I'm going to add the 2 inches for the dart. All right, so I'm going to mark the same thing here. I'm going to mark 9.75 plus the 2 inches for the dart still there. Okay, so now I'm going to connect my first armhole, which is to the bust circumference divided by 4. Okay, I'm going to connect the first arm. So remember here I marked my bust circumference divided by 4, which is 9.75. So I'm going to use that point now to connect my first armhole. Okay, so if you like, you can actually ignore there, but just for the beginners among us so that you will know what you are doing, that is why I had to connect that armhole before I will not connect the second armhole. All right, so now here is the bust plus the 2 inches I added for the bust circumference. So I'm going to draw this line now straight, and then from there I am going to connect the second armhole. All right, so that is what I am trying to explain. Okay, so I'm going to draw out this line like so to connect it with the other one, so as to be able to connect my other armhole. So now I'm going to connect this armhole like so. Did you understand that? Okay, so you can actually ignore the first armhole and then connect this one, but you need the first armhole because of the yoke. Okay, so that is that for our armhole. And now I'm going to be taking all my bust circumference. I've taken my bust circumference already. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark my under bust circumference divided by 4. Whatever you have, you add it there, plus the 2.5 inch for the dart. I'm going to add it here also. And then on the waistline, I'm going to take my waist circumference divided by 4. Okay, so I'm going to mark my waist circumference divided by 4 like so. And then I'm going to measure that dart to know whatever I have there. So I had 2 inches there, so I'm going to mark the same 2 inches, replace the dart that we are going to cut out. I hope you understand that. So I measure that point just to get the exact dart. Okay, sorry, I made a mistake on my under bust circumference, so I'm remarking it. Okay, I used the waist circumference instead of the under bust circumference, so that is why I went back to remark it. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do now is the hemline or the top length. I am marking my hip circumference divided by 4 on the down part. Okay, sorry the camera is not getting there, I'm so sorry, but what I am doing right now that you're not seeing me is that I'm marking the hip circumference divided by 4 on the end of the top, on the top hemline. Okay, so now I am connecting all my marks. Okay, all right, so after doing that, the next we are going to do is to work on the neckline of the yoke. So I use 4 inches width. Okay, so I'm kind of zooming the camera so that it will be clear, and that is what I should have done earlier. Sorry about that. So I noticed it was not showing very well, that's why I went back to do this. So I just connected this point, okay? And the next thing I'm going to do is to mark sewing allowance to them. I'm adding 2 inches to the sewing, 2 inches allowance to the pattern, okay? I added 2 inches extra allowance to the pattern, all right? So next thing I'm going to do now is to go up by 1 inch on that hemline. You can either go up by 1.5 or 1 inch on the hemline. That is the side seam, so that you can curve your blouse in case if you are not adding peplum to it, so that it will not be long on the side. So you curve the way I am doing now. You connect it like so, okay? Make sure to blend that edge so that it will not have a sharp edge, okay? And then the next I am going to do is to mark my neckline, neck width of 4 inches and neck depth of 4 inches also, okay? Then I am going to connect, is a round neck I am making. Normally yoke usually carries round neck, okay, or canoe neck. So I'm going to slant my shoulder by 1/2 inch. That is what I just did. I slant the shoulder by 1/2 inch, all right? So on this hemline, I'm going to add 1 inch sewing allowance, folding allowance to it, okay? So I'll be adding 1 inch like so. And then the next thing is going to be to cut. So I am cutting it right now. So this is the yoke. I did not add sewing allowance to the yoke. I will be adding it on the fabric when I am cutting, okay? So here is our bustier with yoke, okay? And then the next thing we are going to do is to move to the back panel, okay? So this is the back panel. I have also marked out my zip allowance of 1.5, okay? Here is my zip allowance of 1.5, and this is my bust line, waistline, sorry, chest line and waistline, and then my top length, okay, or hip line, whatever you wish to call that, okay? And then now I am going to mark my yoke too. I marked 6 inches downward, the same with the front, okay? And then, so now I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple measurements, which is 8 divided by 4, divided by 2 equals to 4, plus 1/2 inch for sewing allowance. So I am marking 4.5, just exactly the way I did to the front, okay? And then I'll connect them with a straight line, like so, all right? And then on this bust line, I'm going to go up by 1 inch. Is exactly 1 inch already. From the bust line, you go up by 1 inch. And then here, I'm going to mark 1/2 inch on both sides on the waistline. And then I'll connect it to this top like so. Okay. And then I'll also connect this like this too. All right. And then here, I'm going to go up by 2 inches. From the top length, I went up by 2 inches, and then I'll connect this other dart too, like this. All right, and we have our back dart. And then the next thing I'm going to do is to mark the neckline, okay? So the neck width of 4 inches, just like the front, 4 inches, and then the back neck depth is going to be 1 inch. All right, and then I'm going to connect that up to the zipper allowance area like this, okay? And then I'm slanting my shoulder by 1/2 inch. So we have our back panel, and then the next thing I'm going to do now is to take my measurement, okay? So I am taking my bust measurement divided by 2, which is 9.75, and here I'm taking my waist circumference divided by 2, okay? plus the 1 inch that I marked there. I'm going to mark it here, and then I'll be adding 2 inches for sewing allowance. So here I went back to mark 2 inches for sewing allowance, as I forgot to do that earlier. So I have added 2 inches sewing allowance, and here I'm marking my hip circumference divided by 4 plus 2 inches sewing allowance as well. All right, and then I'm going to connect them together. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and also subscribe if you've not done so. Like this video, share, because it helps the channel to grow, and don't forget to watch ad, okay? All right then. Here I am also going to go up by 1 inch, which I've already done, and then I'm going to connect like so, just like we did to the front, so that that side will not be straight if you're making a long blouse. Okay, and then for the yoke armhole, I marked the half. I got the half inch. Sorry guys, the midpoint of the armhole length, so I connected my back armhole. All right, so for this yoke, you can actually modify the back yoke to your taste. If you like, you can make it a v-neck. If you like, you can cut it like this. Okay, it's all your choice. So I am going to kind of show you something. If you can cut it this way up to the chest line. Okay, you can cut it straight like this. You can cut it with a curve like this. Okay, you can equally use the 6 inches I marked. Okay, it all depends on your preference. Okay, so for I am going to go up by 1 inch from the chest line, and then I'll connect like so. Hope that is understood. So that is my new what is it called, yoke. Okay, that is my new yoke. And now we are going to go to cut. All right, and then I did not add sewing allowance to the yoke like I said earlier. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now, which I almost forget, is to grade my the back of my top, okay, blouse. So I went in by ½ an inch on the waistline, and then I'll connect it like so to the bust line, and I'll also connect down to the hip line like this. That is for grading of the back to eliminate zip bulge. Okay, so I went in ½ inch like this too, and then I'll connect like so also, and then I'll connect from here down to, that is to eliminate zip bulgeness at the back. All right, so next thing I'm going to do is to cut that part out also. Thank you guys for watching. Please smash the like button for me, and also subscribe if you've not done so, and watch out for the sewing tutorial. See you in my next video. Bye. Love you.